Well, the Blue Jays, they suck. Once again today, as they lose 7-2 to the Cleveland Indians, and at the very least, have lost the series. The Jays have now lost 3 in a row. They've lost all 3 games in Cleveland so far. And look, today it was, that weird 5th spot in the rotation where we really haven't seen any sort of consistency. Thomas Pannone got the start today. Sean Reed-Foley had the outing last time around. He didn't do too well. Thomas Pannone didn't fare much better. Only went 2 2/3, gave up 5 hits, 4 runs. He struck out 6, and he walked 2 batters. He wasn't very good. He didn't even get out of the 3rd inning, so that tells you right there how he did. And the Blue Jays, all they really get, was a couple runs in the 5th inning, a solo shot from Freddie Galvis, and an RBI double from Randall Grichuk. But that was it. And at that point, the Jays are already down 4-0. So, yeah, you get a 4-2 game, but offense has been such a struggle for the Blue Jays this year that you couldn't really grind anything back. And then things just got worse as the game went along, pitching-wise even. They bring in the youngster Elvis Luciano, and he struggles with his location. He gives up 2 hits. He walks 2 batters. Throws a wild pitch to give up a run, and he gives up 2 earned runs. He does strike out 2, but that was a problem. He went an inning and 2/3. I don't know if he should have been out there for the 2nd inning, but he does. I guess because they needed some length out of him, and they couldn't get it. They just couldn't get it from Elvis Luciano. Sam Gavilia went an inning and 2/3, gave up 1 hit, 1 run. It was not an earned run. He struck out 2 guys and walked a couple. Again, he wasn't bad. And then Tim Meza, who has had a slow start to his season, goes a clean inning, no hits, no walks, a couple strikeouts. And Javi Guerra, who has put a great season together so far, goes an inning, no hits, no walks, and a strikeout, and ERA of 1.59 for Javi Guerra after that inning there today. Offensively, the Jays actually had 10 hits, but they only get 2 runs, and they strike out 14 times. 12 times in 5 innings to Carlos Carrasco, the starting pitcher. That's bad. And offensively, we talked about Freddie Galvis. He went 2 for 5. Obviously, got the RBI, the run scored on the home run. Teoscar Hernandez was 2 for 5, but the 3 outs that he had were all strikeouts. Justin Smoke was 1 for 5 with a couple of Ks. Grichuk was 1 for 4 with the 2 with the RBI double. And Rowdy Tellez was 1 for 2 with a walk. Danny Jansen 1 for 4. Billy McKinney 2 for 4, but he had a couple strikeouts as well. You couldn't string any offense together. Whenever the Jays have gotten a runner in scoring position, they have trouble getting that runner in. Now, I get it, the Randall Grichuk RBI double. Yes, I get that. But you needed more runs because Thomas Pannone did not give you a very good outing today. You needed some depth out of the pen, and Luciano gave up 2, and Gavilia gave up 1. There's 3 runs by the bullpen, and instead of a 4-2 game staying packed all the way, it ends up becoming a 7-2 lead, and that's pretty much all she wrote at that point. But we've talked about it many times. Take positives. Okay. Well, the positives I have in the game is Teoscar Hernandez went 2 for 5. Rowdy Tellez 1 for 2. Grichuk's trying to live up to his contract. He was 1 for 4 with an RBI in the game today. Danny Jansen was 1 for 4. McKinney was 2 for 4. Those are really the positives I got. There's not much else. Now, what I'm going to start doing is when I'm doing these videos, I'm going to go through the minor leagues and kind of pick out some individual performances from some of the younger players that you guys might want to hear about. First things first. Well, I guess more or less just one guy because I didn't really see anybody else that jumped out at me. Kevin Biggio, who has had a really good start. I think it's only 3 games of the season so far, but he's been very good for the Buffalo Bisons. He was 1 for 2 today. He scores 2 runs. He walks 3 times, and he's hitting .500 on the year. The fact that he's got 3 walks as well, and he's done a great job as Kevin Biggio. I've loved what we've seen early on from this young man, but we really want to see this start to be a consistent theme. Now, I'm not expecting him to hit .500 his entire season. I'm not expecting that at all. What I want to see is good at bats, and yeah, hit about 250, 300, and give me some walks as well. And so far, he's exceeding those expectations. Bo Bichette struggling early on, though. He was 0 for 3 today, but he did walk once, and he did come home to score as well. So, yes, his average is only 200, but he scored a few runs. He's walked a few times. So it's good to see from Bo Bichette. He'll find his way as the season progresses. And Sean Reed-Foley was awful today. Awful. He went 3 innings, gave up 6 hits, 4 walks, 8 runs, all earned, and gave up 2 home runs. Sean Reed-Foley was not good. Jordan Romano. Anybody remember that name? I don't remember what team picked him up in the Rule 5, but he did get picked up. They end up letting him go, and he goes 3 strong innings, no hits, walks a couple, but strikes out 3. Good job, and he's a Canadian boy, may I add. So there you go. Now, that's really all there is for the minor leagues, positive-wise. I can't really find the Dunedin Blue Jays. For some reason, the schedule is acting up for me on here. But the finale of the series against the Cleveland Indians goes tomorrow afternoon. It's a 1:10 first pitch at Progressive Field. Marcus Stroman versus Mike Clevinger are the starting pitchers in that game tomorrow afternoon. It is going to be a really good pitching matchup. Both guys have put great seasons together. I mean, ideally, it's only like, I think they combined for 3 starts, so it's really early on. But in those 3 starts, the pitchers have dominated their starts. So, for the Stroh Show, yeah, he had an all-right outing in his last one. But you want to put those Indians bat quiet tomorrow because, to be totally honest, the Blue Jays bats might possibly be very quiet against Mike Clevinger, the really good, funky, right-handed pitcher of the Cleveland Indians. I've always liked Mike Clevinger. He's fantastic. But after this series, the Jays actually finally have a day off on Monday. All right, they are, because they're traveling to Boston. There we go. To face the Boston Red Sox for a 3-game, what is going, so what? See, people, why is this schedule all screwed up? Yes, they play tomorrow, and they're off Monday. They play Tuesday. They're off Wednesday. They play Thursday, and it's a 2-game set against the Boston Red Sox, but it's split. I'm not sure how that makes any sense, but that's really the remainder of the road trip for the Blue Jays. Look, this team has not been good early on, and they are 3-7 on the year. They've lost 3 straight games. Guys, remember the Boston Red Sox are 2-8 on the year, but I mean, I don't expect them to stay that way because they are still the Boston Red Sox, and they're still a really good team, and they will find ways to get it done. Yes, the Tampa Bay Rays are 6-3, but again, that's 9 games in. There's still, what, 153 to go? So, I mean, that's why it's a long, long season, guys. But for the Blue Jays, it's going to be a long year. This team has struggled early this season, especially with the bats. They had 10 hits today. That's great. But you can't get runners across. You know? I mean, the problem early on was getting hits, and it's great to see them start getting hits now. This is great to see. Can this become a theme? I don't know. Mike Clevinger, Marcus Stroman, like I said, are the starters tomorrow. We're going to have to figure out if the offense can continue that. If the Jays can find a way to win this game, this would be the 1 game out of the 4 I would have thought that they've lost. But, I mean, that's the crazy thing about baseball. You never know how a pitcher's going to be from 1 game to the next. You can go off of stats and who the pitcher is and say, he's probably going to have a good outing. But really, you never know. All right? So, you know what, guys? That is going to do it for this one. You guys enjoyed this video, and you guys did not enjoy the game today. Smack that like button. I do appreciate that. Hit the subscribe button if you guys have not already. Comment down below, guys. What do you think of the game, the video? Also, Kevin Biggio's very, very early season stuff with the Buffalo Bisons down there in AAA. What are your thoughts on Freddie Galvis so far as a Toronto Blue Jay? Also, that 5th spot in the rotation. We've seen Sean Reed-Foley. We've seen Thomas Pannone. Both guys have not been good. Who's next? Maybe Sam Gaviglio, maybe? I don't know. I don't know who else we're going to see in that mix in that 5 spot in the rotation. But we're going to have to wait and see how all that plays out. All right? And, guys, before I wrap this baby up, I want to give another shout out because I'm going to kind of make this a daily thing for the Blue Jays because he's helping me out, so I'm going to help him out. Why not? Blue Jays Center on Instagram, the man himself, Mo Bucket's his name on Twitter. He does the Blue Jays Center on Instagram. He has an amazing page. There's all kinds of, I guess, high-quality posts on Instagram, more or less the Jays scores, more like Jays news, all that great stuff. I mean, it goes into high deal, very, very big, I guess, detail about the games and what happened and who did what and all that great stuff. Guys, do follow him. He is the most followed Instagram page, Blue Jays fan page on Instagram. 58,000 followers. Let's keep that building for him. He's well-deserved. And, guys, like I said, Evan and I will talk to you guys podcast edition. It's going to be either Wednesday or Thursday this upcoming week. Probably going to swing closer to Thursday. Link is in the description for the podcast channel and for the podcast itself on iTunes. Twitter is also down below. Follow up, send me a DM. Do all that great stuff. And I will talk to you guys Raptors edition tomorrow afternoon in the final home game of the regular season. The Raptors welcome in the Miami Heat to Scotiabank Arena tomorrow afternoon to noon tip-off. Really, really weird having a noon tip-off at Scotiabank Arena in the final home game of the season because we have, what, 2 games left? 3 games left? I think it's 2 games left for the Toronto Raptors, right? You got Miami at home, and then you go to Minnesota to take on the Timberwolves to end the season. We'll tell you guys tomorrow evening, afternoon. I'm not sure exactly when I'm going to get a chance to upload that, but it will be uploaded tomorrow for sure. As for the Leafs, they lost in their final game of the season tonight. I think it was 5-4 in a shootout to the Montreal Canadiens, and you know what? Usually I'd hate losing to the Habs, but you got to give them credit. You got to give that young kid credit. We'll talk about that in a little bit, all right? And as for the Blue Jays, guys, they're playing in the finale of this 4-game set against the Cleveland Indians. They look to salvage 1 of the 4 games tomorrow afternoon to 1:10 first pitch at Progressive Field. Marcus Stroman, Mike Clevenger are the starters in tomorrow afternoon's game. So I thank you guys so much for listening and watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you guys then.